Welcome in, everybody. This is Between the Pages, episode 19. I really can't believe that we're already on episode 19. I know I say that like every week, but I can't believe we're on episode 19. I can't believe that you guys show up so often to hear me either discuss books or read to you on these Thursdays. I'm so excited that you show up on the other Thursdays as well for paper cuts, for the community contributions. Those are amazing. I love hearing all of your creations. Holy crap, I love it. Anyway, yes, I will hydrate because I did see that. Anyway, so this week, Massamoon suggested that I invest in the Short and Shivery 30 Chilling Tales series. It's a compilation of short ghost stories I've yet to read, but they are apparently the same thing as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and I did read some of those when I reviewed the... We're only gonna say I did not like the movie. I really wish that Del Toro had done, like he did for Troll Hunters, I wish he had done a mini-series on each story. That would have been incredible. I think he really could have done something with that. But, moving on. That's not important. 30 Chilling Tales, Short and Shivery. So, Between the Pages is my segment where I get to share the fact that I am a librarian. And while COVID has taken my library away, I can share stories with you. I can discuss ideas and thoughts that I have during reading whatever I'm most recently reading. And yes, it's been a couple of weeks since I've actually read anything. Mental illness and depression are real, and they take away things that make you happy and bring you joy. So instead of that, you guys have seemed to be really good with me just reading stories to you. And I never really thought that I wanted to read stories out loud. I hated reading out loud. But I really enjoy it. When I was doing my master's in library information science, I really enjoyed the interactions that I had reading to audiences. It was beautiful and wonderful. And I did a specific one for my niece Lisi. Mwah! I love you, darling. So, without further ado, we're not going to read all 30, but we're going to read a few short and shivery chilling tales. Let's get on with it. By the way, Short and Shivery was retold by Robert D. San Souci and illustrated by Catherine Coville. Like I said, there aren't very many illustrations. I usually like a lot more. But what is in here is very beautiful, and I will do my very best. Actually, I'm going to get up close and personal with you already as I do that. And I'll show you guys the beautiful pictures when we get to them. So, 30 chilling, short and shivery tales. Our first one is The Robber Bridegroom. Adapted from the Brothers Grimm. Oh my god, guys, I love the Brothers Grimm. If you haven't read the original stories of the Brothers Grimm, yeah, you really should. Every single one of them is amazing. So, The Robber Bridegroom. There was once a miller who had a beautiful daughter. He was a hard worker, so his business prospered and he grew wealthy. A widower, he gave his only daughter fine dresses and shoes with silver buckles. For himself, he bought a splendid cloak, a broad-brimmed hat with a huge ostrich feather, and a gold ring with a picture of his mill engraved on it, because this had brought him his riches. One night, however, robbers broke into the mill and stole his hat, cloak, and ring, and all the gold he had saved up. Then the old man said to his daughter, "You must marry soon. The world is full of wicked men, and you should have a husband to protect you." Okay. But he must be a wealthy man, because you deserve the fine things I can no longer buy you. I don't care if the man is rich or poor, said the girl, Elsa, as long as I love him and he loves me. Oh, that's cute. Tut, said her father impatiently. If the right kind of bridegroom comes along and asks for your hand, I'll let him marry you. Okay. Soon enough, a suitor turned up who was dressed in the finest clothes, had boots with silver toes and tops, and rode a grand horse with a bridle trimmed in gold. I have seen your daughter when she walks in the village, said the stranger, and I want her to be my wife. Well, that's cute. I just saw her. I want her to be my wife. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm being me. I'm sorry, guys. The miller was dazzled by the man's garments and his horse trappings, so he said, She will be your wife. But Elsa didn't love him as a bride ought to love her future bridegroom. She didn't trust him, and whenever she looked at him or thought about him, a shudder ran through her. The stranger came often to the miller's house. Finally, he said to Elsa, You're engaged to me. All right, hold on a second. Hold on. This man just walks up in her house and says, You're engaged to me? I'm sorry, but unless frickin' Alexander Skarsgård walks up in my house and says that, or possibly Jennifer Lawrence, excluding those two people, the fuck are you doing in my house? I already don't trust you. Okay. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. We're gonna keep going. I'm being a feminist. Sorry, not sorry. I lost my page. I got so upset I lost my page. Okay. You're engaged to me. You're engaged to me. That's how it went down. That's super, super romantic. Okay, I'm done. I swear, I'm done. Yes, Jensen can marry me too. Anyway. You're engaged to me, and yet you have never been to see me. I don't even know where your house is, the young woman answered, feeling a sudden chill in her heart. Yes. Her suitor said, My house is in the depths of the forest. Yeah, okay, I'm down. I got you. Then I could never find my way there, Elsa said. Nonsense, said the stranger. Next Sunday you must come and see me. I've already invited some other guests who are eager to meet you, so that you can find the way. I'll leave a trail of ashes to guide you. Ashes. Okay, whatever. Let's go. Elsa started to protest, but her father said, Tut! Then to the richly dressed stranger he said, She will be there. I will see to it. Guys. One, my father would never tell me, one, who I'm gonna marry, or two, that I'm gonna do something. Yes, Thor, you called it. But come on! Thor, would you make Lisi just marry whoever you said? No. Ah, jeez. Ashes, too. I'm gonna follow some ashes into the woods. Wind doesn't exist, guys. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna keep going. When Saturday came, the girl was about to start out, because her bridegroom had told her the journey would take a day and a night. What the? A day and a night on foot. And this is your bride-to-be? You didn't send no carriage? A horse? She felt terribly frightened, though she did not know why. To be sure of finding her way back, she filled her pockets with dried peas and beans to mark her path. I'm finding that in stuff like this, people don't think things through. Because animals eat whatever they find. And you're leaving food on your way. Okay. Okay. I'm done. I'm done. I swear I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. At the entrance to the forest, she found the trail of ashes, like a thin gray thread, and followed it. Deep into the dark woods, but every step or two, she tossed a few peas and beans to her right or left. She walked nearly the whole day and night, all the way into the heart of the forest. In the morning, which was almost as gloomy as midnight, she saw a house set by itself in a small clearing. It was so dark. I missed my page. Hold on. I'm not saying anything, I swear. It was so dark and dismal that she feared going any closer. But the trail of ashes led right to the front door, so she went up. Elsa knocked softly several times. When no one answered, she went in. She saw nobody. There was a silence over all the rooms. Suddenly, a voice cried, "Turn back, young woman! Run away! You've come to a robber's house this day!" I have no idea where that voice came from. I just said it. She looked up and saw that the voice had come from a bird in a cage that was hanging in a window. Once more, it warned her. "Turn back, young woman! Run away! You've come to a robber's house this day!" I really don't know where that voice is coming from. She was about to turn and run when she heard someone singing in a sweet, clear voice deep in the house. The voice was so gentle and sad that Elsa had to see who was singing. She followed the sound from room to room all over the house, but they were all empty. At last she reached the cellar door. Descending the steep and narrow steps, she found an old blind woman who was sitting in a corner, shaking her head sadly, while she sang mournfully to herself. "Who are you?" Elsa asked. "I keep this unhappy house," explained the blind woman. "But what are you, with such a young, kind voice, doing here?" And look, it's finally a picture. Hopefully you can see it. "I'm to marry the master of the house," said Elsa. "Alas, poor child, you have no idea where you are. You're in the den of a thief and a murderer. Years ago I was brought here with a promise of marriage. Instead, the villain blinded me so I could not run away, and has made me work harder than the most wretched slave. Now that I've grown weary and unable to work as I once did, he has brought you here. He will drive me into the woods to die, and he will blind you and make you take my place." "Come with me," urged Elsa. "We'll run away together." But as she was guiding the older woman towards the steps, they heard the sound of rough voices above. When Elsa recognized her bridegroom's voice, "Don't move." But the old woman said, "Hide behind those chests in the corner, and be quiet as a mouse. Don't move, or everything is lost. Tonight, the robbers are asleep. I'll fetch you. Then we can escape together." Hardly had Elsa hidden behind a metal-bound chest when the chief robber came to the head of the stairs, bellowed, "Come up and fix us dinner, or you'll regret it quick enough. My bride hasn't come, and I'm in a rare bad temper. In the morning I will ride to demand my bride and have no more of these games. Her father is a greedy and foolish man. He will hand her over, and it's going to be harder for her than she can imagine, since she has disobeyed me." I didn't say anything. Where the hell is my place thing? I don't even know where I'm at. I'm so upset. Okay, there it is. Now hurry and set out some food and drink. All through the afternoon and evening, Elsa listened to the roaring and stamping and laughter as the men grew drunk and began to argue among themselves. Hidden behind the chest, she trembled and shivered, dreading her fate if she were discovered. Now one chest that was near her hand was partially opened. She could see gold gleaming faintly in what little light fell down through the open cellar door. Carefully, Elsa turned the page, lifted out several coins, a belt, a buckle, and a brooch, all of the finest gold. Then reaching in more deeply, she discovered a massive gold ring with a picture of her father's mill engraved on it. She knew in a moment that these robbers were the ones who had stolen all their gold months before. Keeping quiet, she dropped the ring in her skirt pocket. Then she waited, while the sounds above continued, though it was growing later and later. She began to fear the robbers would go on crashing about until morning, and the old woman's plan would fail. Upstairs, however, the blind woman put a sleeping potion in the thieves' wine. Soon, one by one, they laid down and went to sleep, snoring loudly. When they were all asleep, this housekeeper called down to Elsa, "Come quickly! We must hurry!" The girl hastily came out from behind the chest and climbed the stairs. She had to step over the sleepers, who were laying in rows upon the floor. She was dreadfully afraid of touching them, for fear one would wake, but she got through without mishap. The other woman was waiting by the open door. Elsa took her hand, and they hurried away as quickly as they could from the robbers' den. All the ashes had been blown away by the wind, but the peas and beans, being heavier, remained to show them their way in the moonlight. They walked the whole night and reached the mill the next afternoon, where Elsa told her father everything she had been through and the plan she had for trapping the wicked thief. Then her father hastened to the village to invite all his friends and relations to a feast, while Elsa and the blind woman set out tables and cooked every bit of food in the house. When the robber and his men rode up to claim Elsa, the miller welcomed them with a great show of friendship. "My daughter will go away with you this very day. But first, share a meal with us in honor of my daughter's wedding." The robbers, who had awakened to find their housekeeper gone, and had been forced to scrounge a wretched breakfast for themselves, were only too glad to sit down and enjoy themselves. During the meal, the miller asked each person to tell a story to entertain the other guests. When it came to Elsa's turn, she was silent. But her bridegroom said, "Come, my sweet, you must tell us a story too. I won't have people thinking my bride is a dull wit." "Very well," the girl said. "I will tell you a dream I have had. In it, I was walking along in a gloomy wood, and I came to a solitary house, where not a soul was to be seen. A cage was hanging in the window of one of the rooms. In it was a bird which cried, 'Turn back, young woman! Run away! You've come to a robber's house this day!' It repeated the same words twice. 'I don't think I care very much for the story,' grumbled the bridegroom. 'This was only a dream, my love,' protested Elsa. Then she continued, 'I heard someone singing a sweet song, so I walked all through the rooms, but they were empty. At last I went down to the cellar, where I found a blind woman singing to herself. When I had told her I had come to marry the master of the house, she cried, 'Alas, you poor child! You're in the den of a thief and a murderer!' Then she told me how he planned to blind me and make me a slave in this place." "Be quiet! I've had enough of this foolishness," shouted the bridegroom, rising in his seat. "This was only a dream, my love," said Elsa. Then she quickly went on. "The robbers returned at that moment, so the old woman hid me behind some chests in the cellar. While they were making merry upstairs, I looked in one of those chests and discovered—" "Silence!" bellowed the bridegroom, drawing his dagger to threaten the girl. But she bravely finished. I discovered a gold ring with a picture of this mill on it. The ring that belonged to my father and was stolen by robbers months ago. Oh, and here is the ring! So saying, Elsa produced the ring and showed it to the company. When the bridegroom heard these words, he turned pale as ashes and tried to escape. His men with him, but the guests seized them all and turned them over to the king's soldiers, who took them away and had them hanged for their crimes. You know what? You know what? Okay, so this is kind of a happily ever after. I'm gonna say this. This is kind of a happily ever after, and that annoys me. There are a lot of things that annoy me about this book. One, Brothers Grimm would be a lot more specific on the details of the hanging of these thieves and murderers. Two, like, do we not as children realize how sexist or bigoted or racist stories are? Do we not realize that? And that's how stuff gets ingrained. You like how I said stuff, right? Stuff gets ingrained in your brain, and you're like, as you get older, you're like, that's not right. That's not okay. This is something that was recommended to me by Mass, and I don't think that Mass is any of the things that I listed. But I don't think he clearly remembers some of the connotations in these stories. Right, Mel? It is not okay to just kiss someone that you don't know while they're sleeping. You don't know her. You didn't. I'm trying to censor myself, Thor, okay? Because Lacey is maybe watching, and she might watch later on. It's weird. I'm trying, okay? I want Lacey to be able to watch this on her own when she likes. Ugh. Oh, dude, our next one's Jack Frost. It's a Russian folktale. Who's ready for some Jack Frost? I hope that he rips people's eyes out like he's supposed to. But yeah, I'm really sorry, guys. My outbursts and commentary while reading were probably completely inappropriate. The weird and the weird. What's with this judgment? This judgment is because you should not be doing those. Those things are not okay. Inty ways. They totally add to the story. Do they? Okay, your outbursts for a minute. Well, I'm glad, but I hope it doesn't ruin it for anyone else. Is why we're... Yeah, so basically, do you guys know how my process works when I'm reading a story that I'm gonna discuss with you on Between the Pages, like now? I'll be reading the story or listening to it, most like, because I listen to it on my bike rides. I listen to it while I do chores. I listen to it in the car, and I can get a lot of things done while listening to audiobooks. If you guys, and here I am, I'm gonna go on my librarian spiel. If you guys have a smartphone, and I cannot speak for outside of the US, but if you are in the US, what you should do, if you like ebooks or audiobooks, you should download the Overdrive app or the Libby app. You can find it on the Apple Store or the Android Store, whatever it's called. And all you have to do to get access to free audio or ebooks is go to your local library and get a library card if you don't already have one. If you already have one, all you have to do is program your library, add your library card, and you have access to their entire repository of and audiobooks. It's amazing, it's wonderful, it's what I do all the time, I swear. I used to do just LibriVox, and LibriVox is great for classics, but that's where it stays. LibriVox is an NPR, I said that right, it sounds weird coming out of my mouth, but it's an NPR thing. And it's great for classics. But if you want more recent books that can be available at your local library, please, please, please do me a favor. Do this particular librarian a favor and give Overdrive or Libby a chance. It's wonderful. You can also put multiple library cards on it. I own multiple library cards. And what's not available at one library could be available at a different library. And I absolutely, wholeheartedly, librarian certified, guaranteed, you should do this. It's great. It's wonderful. For those of you outside the US, I'm so, so sorry. I don't know how to recommend things to you. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna go on with Jack Frost. You guys ready? We're gonna do Jack Frost. Once upon a time, there was a widow who had a daughter of her own and a stepdaughter. Whenever her own daughter said or did anything, the woman would pat her on the head and say, "Clever girl." But no matter how hard the stepdaughter tried, she was always being called foolish or lazy by the woman, who often scolded her and sometimes beat her. Okay, this isn't even sexist, and I have things that I want to say. Children are children, and all of them need to be loved. That's all I'm going to say. The truth of the matter was that the stepdaughter, Maria, was kind and beautiful, while the woman's own daughter, Yagishna, I'm going to say Yagishna, was plain and selfish. But her mother saw only what she wanted to see. So she praised Yagishna and continually made Maria's life a misery. Even an angry storm blows itself out at last. But the old woman's hatred for her stepdaughter never lessened. She said one cruel thing after another, and she was forever grabbing Maria by the collar of her dress and shaking her for being such a burden on us. One day, in the dead of winter, the stepmother made up her mind to have done with her stepdaughter. She told her aged servant, "Old man, take Maria to the open field where the bitter frost is the thickest and leave her there. I don't want to set eyes upon her or hear her voice ever again. And if you value your life, don't take her to the warm house of your relatives." The old man begged her not to force him to do such a wicked thing. But the stepmother would not relent, because he knew that his family would starve if he lost his job. He put the girl on a sled. He tried to cover Maria with an old horse cloth, but Yagishna saw this and snatched it away with a sharp laugh. "Do as my mother says, or you'll find yourself and all your children out in the cold along with her," she said nastily. Heavy-hearted, the old man drove Maria out to the open fields near the edge of the forest. He set her down on a heap of snow, hugged her, then hastened home as fast as possible, so that he wouldn't see the child's death. Poor little Maria remained there where she was, shivering and softly saying some prayers. Suddenly, a strange-looking man came leaping and jumping from the forest toward the girl. He wore a great coat of silver-white fur, a high-peaked cap of the same silvery fur, and boots of white leather worked with silver. He had thick white eyebrows and a bushy white beard. While his nose was red as an apple, his coat and hat were spangled with diamonds and silver bells, on a white ribbon across his chest, jingling as he bounded towards Maria. Little girl, I'm Jack Frost, the ruby-red nose," he said. "I bring the winter wherever I go." "Oh," she said sadly. "Welcome, Jack Frost. God must have sent you to take me away from this world. It will be hard to leave, for it looks so beautiful today. The snow is so white and the air so clean. The ice sparkles like diamonds." Now, he was about to touch her body and freeze her to death. But he was moved by her wise words and sad eyes. Instead, he reached into one of the immense pockets of his greatcoat, pulled out a fur coat, and tossed it to Maria. She quickly put it on, then squatted on her heels, sitting in the snow. She watched while Jack Frost went leaping and jumping back to the edge of the forest. In a twinkling, He was back, carrying something in his arms. Little girl, I'm Jack Frost, the ruby red nose, he cried. I have brought something for you. Is it my death? Maria asked fearfully. Oh man, I said that completely wrong. Whoops, guys, whoops. I'm sorry, Maria, it's not me. It's fine, it's cool, it's fine. But he had not returned to take her life away. He brought her a chest, heavy and deep, and filled with bedding and petticoats and all sorts of warm clothes. Then Maria sat on the chest in her fur coat, laughing and clapping, while Jack Frost danced for her. Oh, so sweet. He's the sweetest angel of death. A third time he bounded away to the forest edge. This time, when he came back, he gave her a cloak embroidered with silver threads and studded with pearls and diamonds. Wonderingly, Maria drew this cloak over her fur coat. She looked as beautiful and elegant as a grand duchess. For a long time she sat there happily singing songs while Jack Frost danced lightly over the sparkling ice and snow. Meanwhile, her stepmother said to her servant, Go, old man, and bring home my daughter so that we may bury her. Then she set about fixing the evening meal for herself and Yugishna. A short time later, the gate creaked, the doors flew open, and the old servant dragged in a chest, heavy and deep. Maria followed, radiant and regal as a princess. When the stepmother saw all the riches Maria had returned with, she immediately set an extra place at the table for the girl. She set her stepdaughter down, pretended to ask her forgiveness, made a great show of giving her the daintiest morsels, even the Yugishna complained about this, until she had gotten the whole story out of Maria. As soon as Maria was asleep, the old woman called her servant. Old man, she ordered. Harness the horses and have them ready to go at the first light of dawn. Take my daughter to the same field in the very same place, and leave her there. Then return for her in the evening to gather up the treasure she will receive. Okay. This has a picture, by the way, guys. Want you to be able to see. These illustrations are quite beautiful. Anyway. In the morning, the old woman struggled to awaken her daughter. Let me sleep, complained Yugishna. It's too cold to do anything else. You must go and get treasures from Jack Frost, you lazy creature, her mother scolded. Can't we just take Maria's gifts for ourselves? Asked her daughter crossly. We will, said her mother impatiently. But why settle for one treasure when we can have two? Now get up. Grumbling, Yugishna did as she was told. She put on her warmest coat and hat and boots. When she was on the sled, her mother bundled her up in furs and blankets. Then the old servant drove her to the field and left her there, just as the morning sun turned the ice crystals bright as diamonds. Yugishna sat on a pile of furs and tried to keep her eyes open. Suddenly, Jack Frost came prancing from the edge of the forest. Young woman, I'm Jack Frost, the ruby red-nosed, he said. Then be quick and bring me a treasure, said Yugishna, who thought he looked foolish with his leaping about and jingling bells, and nose like an apple stuck to the front of his face. Young woman, I am Jack Frost, the ruby red nose, he repeated. I bring the winter wherever I go. When you've brought me my treasure, you can go and take winter with you. It's ugly and cold. Now where is my gift? Young woman, I am Jack Frost, the ruby red-nosed, he cried, dancing closer to the girl. And here is your gift of diamonds and silver. And he stretched out his hands to Yugishna. In the evening, while Maria stoked the fire, her stepmother anxiously watched the door for the return of her daughter. Suddenly, she heard the crack of the gate outside. Without waiting, she flew to the door and saw the old servant standing beside the sled, cap in hand. Impatiently, the old woman pulled at the mound of furs on the back of the sled. Yugishna, foolish child, come out from underneath. You'll be warm inside in a minute, but first you must show me your treasure. To her horror, when the woman pulled back the last fur, she saw her daughter lying there. Her last breath had frozen. The shock was too much, and the greedy stepmother fell down dead in the snow. Maria became mistress of the farm, where the old servant continued to serve her faithfully all the rest of his days. Well then. I think I kind of like that story a lot better than the other one. I feel like they could have done a lot better with the death. Like the lady falling down dead is not as great as like in actual Cinderella when like a flock of birds came in and pecked out her stepsister's eyes. That was great. Like, can I please get more of that? What is up, Loop? All right, guys. I'm gonna stick with just 2 because 1, I am starving, and 2, we've actually almost done an hour of me reading. An hour of me reading straight. An hour straight of me reading. Something like that. But I would like to talk about some components in these stories. What do you guys think? Is there anything in either one of the stories that we read that you'd like to talk about? Something that you found interesting? Something that made you think of something else? That's typically what I do when I'm reading. When I'm reading a story, a book, I write down the things that I think about, and I make connections in my head, and then I research them and I make connections to you guys. So, holy crap, guys. Guess not. So I don't mind ending the segment for YouTube right here and now. I appreciate everyone coming out. We're gonna do a post-episode discussion, but other than that, what's up, YouTube? We had a great time. Love you, and I will catch you next time.